Achtuyak eohan, which kanachutu da aadé. Yeis yakonehin. Yeis kuaha. Yeis aya yandus hicht kuig. Wasa atka kone ya sande kak shui. Yaltekat yohan. Yakusiiten wasa atka kone. Yewacht wasa kucha achadan. Hat koa sekanen. Shkakwete kakwakuch. Yakutlein yikt. Ishkecheti yakutlein. Hubbard you do a song at yeis yak. After you ewe yeis yak kusti. Kesh kusti koa eka atha a yikt. Yak to asago yisaku, quashwa yak yikta yak bikuch. Nashe ewishkakwe. Te do shutak ka ashu anach. Te do shugan. Te do shugan. Ach shukwaya yiktawe kwakuchu. Ya achyat kitin. We atha. Aadé adewu ayuchat. Aadé wutu achat kachyat. Utusatin kwa. Jag gucha ka noodles kudzeti. Ha klinukti at. Talkega atha. Hatcha ho. Hakagachta ke. Atha good. Da saito asugui chai. Yakirta yakakya. De ewe ya yidet. Ayektewe kakwagud. Shukwaya. Kadein at utucha. Hastu sayakakwasa sekanan washka gishunasi. Hasaku gishunasi kakishutai. Kwashi yit kusti hajide kakwati. Wasaach eyak eko awe gishu. Jaltakat begishu akeyake. Aka awe shkakwe kwash ach kani yan. Ya ach kla du du yetki. Hastu inka kwacha. Ya ach tu yake nu chaschasatini. A itch a dak kadik dak tu kuch. Ya passport ach jiyeti. Ya ka ach yetki. Kuchaya akaushahit kwatkinsa has kwatksa kaguksa has kutzeti. Shukwa yeti Fairbanks a kutzeti. Dech akanaski a akwanani. Akawe kwanlin kaya yekach tuche. Naskia gich anach te de kuich yakkoki. Gashisa ku. Godach. Wuschuch han teach lukach at de kakanach tedi. A joyach tu yeke has to in hatruchsati. Ya has to kuiki has to ide kakwadeshi an. Dak kaku. Konach has to asaku kuich ya deshihi. One kanins klitzi. Gwash. Take 100 talk anach. Ya masakach sa. Government, you do a sako which ago hako. Ginja chuan where shkasha de nakki. Ye hasyan nakijin. Etli klesh kuich ya kuich a gate uski di at aya. Ajoy hatu wasaku konea wahihi. Ako a tlashkaden hasawasku. Ade aya yan. Aadé yenditzihihi. Yach tu asaku utusaku ho altakatuhan. Ultakat kuig tashchashuku atruste. Eka nach sati hastu aich sati. Warka nach te de kuig eka hastu aich sati. Ka guantan kuig ʻéqa hasui ʻaʻiqsati. Gwell dachwn a chwasacw lligas. Gwell ʻu gudi. Tléixʼ a. Tléixʼ wyt gwell iaqai. Tléixʼ has awas neu has ʻu iqi. Tléixʼ wyt lligas. Qayat atsu. Jadasa aya ijichasati. Gasha. Atcha kanaaq. We kauati. Igweilitude kade. Achu a ye has awaji. Has tu twasgui awakai. Tléixʼ. Gunchish tléixʼ. Lligas. Gwell tléixʼ toa ysgu. Dasa hasachai. Digo Juan. Guk cha. Nask. Gwell ʻu daat ne. Dasa kajide kakiti. Has tu jid ti. Tléixʼ Chasatin. Sagutin. Chasatin. We chips you do a sago at kakuns. Ja gweil tléixʼ udalli at qanach tléixʼ udalli at. Kainach is ka awaji. Asagu aya just kajide kakiki. Dusani ko achasaku. Qoned kanai tléixʼ tuashku duin kakunigi wasa at kakune. Witatsu lligas. Qanachawi chasachan ko achasaku ja achkani. Ish hasati. Aadé chadno. Gwell keilk ko. Gwell gedén aya du ika tu. Aadé yandus hihiye we ʻu. Aadé yandus hihiye. Just kajit sagutin qasachan. Htakatat ko aadya wune achichtuti. Joy gedén kajide gachtuti. Ja dakuni a. Kierkia kathatsew kak das. Gwell ʻu kaya qneya wahi. Qagid qneya wahi. Qawakshiyik uqatani. Gwell qne ko a yeis tléixʼ. Galli chuni tin qneyu qewatan. Wasa ada. Tléixʼ isachi. Jutle ijit has ati at. Gallayachoti. Yewe adatu tuchtatan yagi. Galchisha sa achi. Khatqa sik. Wuch in aya. Kunsh gagachtulnig. Khatqa ligitrinach. Huqa yuchatangi. Qakak wanik. Ja tu daat. Wawusi tuagesaku. Hasu tuasaku dana. Ja chiqi. Gwell giwi do a sago a chiqi. Ye jine dana ejiduti. Dana ejide haska kwati. Gwell kakki ako kawakshi. Huqa. Yake dana tuasaku. Ye owe. Gulchish a reidi sachi. Tu yake ʻu qneya wahi. Do sad you to agesagu you watani cook.
Hubbard, you do a sock where yik, where yaw, yak. Khana ye jene ka cupboard ka do Shuck day tléixʼ cupboard gagway day seganen.
Oh, how?
Ach awe tléixʼ ha cupboard cock ye jene ye. Ya yagi yi tléixʼ skagway day ka tat gay tléixʼ gagway day.
Achadi. Deshuga. Deshude ukuchage wayak.
Tléixʼ
Akana, what's that quick? Has tu jidich akwatan?
tléixʼ chosaka.
How? Gwalla chiagu yit akwadeka kwakuch. It ich. How? Gulchish hanki nigi. Atachte shi. Hasa wudnechi wayak.
Yandukin gay
Gwalki we. Stekatach dana achkagach sagan kwa.
flame dana.
Jidi dana ka. Tlach tu asgul stekatje de kek kwalli di achtane. Atina khatiti adecho kuchu kwa. Hechosuku adusa. Gwalla chande haska kwa kuch hastu ka. Hastu wdudlitóowu atiekt. How? Húdliach go gwati kwalkiweach kosti. Gulchish. Yisatin eka nig. Yaw hi Lingít genach buke. Nig. Kelt nig. Nig. Okay. Zuk get Lingít genach kwalte hut. Wasat go kwaneyas and de akshui. Yijigachinege. Dachil sahage. At kogachitin age. Dasatze. Yaw da haege gachilatin. Kuchaya gachitu. At kakijaka kwal akitlun. Agachil ege. At she age gachila ach. At chage gachise I. At she age kegachishi. Kagachis ne age. Okay, well, geez.
Were you asking us what meat meant? Were you asking us to find meat?
To find what?
To find meek versus meat?
Nope.
Oh.
I was just saying you witnessed Neek delivered in Lingít. Thoughts, questions? Neek is news. Or gossip. That was news. Maybe it was gossip. Uh-oh. Well, I was asking, what's happening this weekend? That's what I was asking. What's happening this weekend? And I list a whole bunch of things. Are you going to travel? Are you going to watch TV? Are you going to read a book? You going to rest? You going to work? You going to go hunting? You going to weave something? You going to, what else did I say? You going to dance?
Cook?
Janeka? How?
Did you ask if we were going to cook something?
Yes, you gonna cook something? I was getting desperate. I was like, you're gonna do something, right? You're gonna do something. Someone's gonna do something, but it's okay. Okay. Well, let's move on with our semester kickoff reflections, which I have to find. There it is. So we talked about this the other day. Let's see where I want to put all this stuff. So we did this, telling us 4 things about yourself, only 2 things that were from a common introduction. If you didn't get a chance to do that, you could do that. But we kind of left off here. Let's all take a turn and just say something that's important to you that or just say something that you've learned in Lingít. Tell us who you learned it from and why it's important to you.
Casey Lee, ʻatángi. I feel like sometimes I feel like this is a cheap answer, but at the same time, I also want people to start talking through it with just yeis, because I know a lot of people really struggle with the voiceless L sound. And if it's one thing anyone would like to hear, it's a thank you. It goes a long ways. So I like to teach people that. And then, of course, I hear it a lot from yeis, that it's not just thank you, without you this could not be possible. So I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say
Just
cheap?
More.
Okay. I had to do it. Okay. Yeis. I do that too.
Yeah. So the first one I'll do is from my grandmother, the prior guy, when she was teaching me when I was really little, is that I'll always know who I am by learning the language. And so that was something that she really imparted in me. And then later when I was picking up again and interviewing Nora for a health study, before she would let me interview her, she spent over an hour making sure that I could say ʻatángi properly. And she kept just saying, don't give up. No matter what you do, don't give up. And then I was allowed to talk about her question, or the questions I had for her about her health. And both those things are really important to me, because by me learning the language, I learned how I was related to Nora and have continued to find family throughout there, and learning more about who I am, and learning about how my family took in Nora's older brother and how we were connected there, and how even through the stealing of ʻaʻu during my ʻatángi's funeral, and then also through my grandmother's funeral, that we don't still have to give up that. We can still know who we are without these material possessions.
Okay. Yeis. It's 2 to 19. Let's keep it going. Good stuff. Huh.
So one of the things that stuck with me, I guess it's not, I didn't catch the Lingít part, but one of the things in learning Lingít that I've learned that's really stuck with me, and that I constantly have to remind myself of, is that it's okay for me not to know. Like, I can't expect myself to know. And because I find that I get held back by my own fear of making mistakes. And I can be the baby, but I've fought against being the baby for so long that it's held me back, I think, in my language learning. And so both you and Ida would always tell us that we can be a baby. We are baby learners. And it's something that I continually have to tell myself to help me try to not be afraid to make a mistake. And if I just don't try to ask myself here, I'm not going to get any better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good yeis.
Rataya,
Ah.
chocolate. Yádi, shakalnik. The importance of stories, especially tagu. I think it was 35 years ago, and it was Mrs. Bellinger at the State Museum who, in describing one story, mentioned another and said, Raven with his golden stockings. Oh, but that's another story. And I haven't found that one yet, but I realized that for her, the ḳlagu are so well known that they can be referenced with just part of what was said or an image from the story, and it brings in the whole story and all the lessons and the history.
Okay. Good yeis. Huh.
So one thing that I learned fairly recently, or I heard a couple times fairly recently from Kenny Grant. I ran into Kenny Grant off and on different times. One time I ran into him, and we were at a thing, and we were getting ready to leave and stuff like that. And I said, ţéixʼ and he said, you know, he says it a little differently, and he explained it later on. He didn't explain it right then, and then I didn't remember it right then. And then the last time I saw him a few weeks ago or so, and he went a little deeper and explained why he said it differently, which made a lot of sense. And I think it's really interesting to hear his explanation of why he prefers to say that. And and so what he told me, he said, you know, instead of saying that, what you might want to say is, or what he says anyway, is wdudlitóowu tu satin su. Wdudlitóowu tu satin su. And so he said that means that we will see one another again, is what his English translation was for that. And so he went on to further. If you just say ţéixʼ, that means I will see you again. But he also said that one of us could be dead. And so you could be seeing me as I'm dead, and I won't be able to see you, or I'd be able to see you, and you know, you might be dead and you won't be able to see me. So if we see each other, is what he said. He said is one of us could be dead, but if we both see each other, it means we are alive and well. and we're both alive, seeing each other at that time, so it's a better way to kind of, you know, part, I guess, and see that, so. Yeah, I think that was a really interesting thing, and he said that he always says that, and it's always what he's always said and what he's always heard, and so he was encouraging me to change that and add it differently.
Okay.
And I also wanted to say, oh, you wrote it down, I was
Well,
gonna say, yes.
I would recommend a slight adjustment, which would be ye woosh teen.
And I remember, and it's interesting because I remember a few weeks ago, I think Casey was here after class and we were writing it down on the board. And so I just wonder if you can explain why you recommend that versus what Kenny said to me, and he said it to me multiple times afterwards, and I said, and he said, so go ahead, say it, and I said it, and he said, nope, that's not it, say it to make sure that I said it right, which was, wutschkach, wutschkach, tu satin tsu. And then if you could, how would you write that out? So how would you spell that or write that out? I mean, I tried to write it down as well as hear what he was saying. But it sounded to me like every time I heard it, he said whoosh instead of whoosh.
Okay, that's no
So
problem.
I heard whoosh instead of whoosh. So wutschkach tu satin tsu. So anyway.
Yeah, and he is a master level burst speaker. He is one of the greatest living Lingít speakers. He is one of the surviving 7. Right, we have 7 master level speakers now. I think we have. I can't even remember. I think it's 3 in Alaska and 4 in Canada. So I want to start by saying that, which is he knows way more than I do. And also, like, I learned this phrase from him as well. So I would start with sort of saying, if we look on these notes, we can copy the theme here. And so here's the theme. And since we're talking verb themes, I'm gonna show you folks how I would adjust this verb theme. So I do like capital O. I might say, what if we made that blue? Wouldn't that be cool? And what if we made the capital S red? That'd be pretty rad. And what if we made the S purple? Oops, I'm gonna need some more colors on that. Let me open my little color palette guy. Okay, it's grape. This one is, okay. And then we could take this verb root and we can make it brown. So one thing that Eggleston does in the verb database is uses this tilde. My recommendation is that we don't use it anymore. What does the tilde mark in the what is called the Lear-Edwards theme? What does the tilde mark?
Variable.
What's that?
I said variable.
Yes, it says this stem is variable. But if you study Lingít, nearly every stem is variable. You don't need to mark them as variable, mark them as invariable. So one of the recommendations from James Crippen and Seth Cable was mark the ones that are unusual. Don't mark the ones that do the common thing. Like that's what we expect them to do. So if we look at this, this is a qa event verb, and we know it is. We know it is, because if you want to tell someone to see something, you say qassatin. Behold. Behold. Qassatin. And that's how you would command someone to do it. That is why the yay pops up in the future. You have to say ye ikqassatin, ye kaqissatin, ye aguxsatin. It has to have ye in front of it. That's a non-negotiable in Lingít. And so the yay shouldn't, it should be there. It's a low tone yay. It is there for all futures because of qa. Every qa verb will have yay in the future. Every ga verb will have k in the future. That is a constant for Lingít. It has to be that way. And I would just note this because I remember talking to Nora, and I said, "Ya undergun," and she said, "Ye undergun." I was like, "Oh yeah, that is. It's a qa conjugation, right? Ye agurtagan. It is going to be sunny. Ke kwake. It's going to be good." So these are things. They have to be that way, and so because of that, I would put the yay there. Now the whoosh is something that or whoosh. The typical thing seems to be whoosh is preferred if a consonant is coming, whoosh is preferred if a vowel is coming. That's really but I hear it both ways too, right? So it's also, it could be a thing where that's kind of a preference, but it's certainly not a rule. Whoosh and whoosh might just be interchangeable. So then that gets you to yay whoosh or yay whoosh, and then gach tus teen. So the other thing that you would expect is if you ever have whoosh or whooch or chush or sh right before the verb, they should push it to go plus D, because we are seeing each other. Those are plus D actions. So you'd say, watusateen, we saw it. Whoosh wootusteen, we saw each other. And that's another sort of thing. And so some of these things, like as far as why a speaker might say it a certain way, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just sort of like, because he said that to me I think at a funeral, like we were leaving a funeral and there's a bunch of speakers there, and I came up and I said, okay, so this is, how would I translate suye eqwasatin?
I will see you again.
So if I took this, and if I said, but what if I wanted this to say, we will see you again?
We will see you again.
Mm-hmm.
Suye ha ʻatásatini.
Well, okay, so let's write that one down. So if we change this one to ha, but now you can't really have, but now it's saying I will see us again, right? But you could say, okay, we'll come back to that because I want to change this one to say you will see us again. Okay, so we'll get to that. First, we got to get to we will see you again, right? And so if we come in here and we say, okay, well, just looking at the verb, forgetting about the su, forgetting about the yay, the su means again, right? The yay needs to be there, so we're not going to disregard it. We're saying, let's just analyze what's in there. We have, what are all the things in iqwasatin? It is in there.
You.
It is in there. I'm just saying, like, as the Lingít part, so I'm not looking for the translations right now.
Oh,
If I
okay.
pull this, if I open the accordion, what do I see written on it? I'll give you, okay. Did you say qa
I said but
with an underline?
or
Which one did you say?
I said hard G underline.
So now we do have something and something. So there is a qa, but not yet.
Ga u ka.
Gach tu.
There is a ga and there is a We're not, yes, we did jump ahead and we got it, yes. And then there's a cha, And then,
So,
okay, so there is our prefix, right? All of our parts are there. These guys are gray. This guy is blue. This one is red, which we'll do just so that we can just kind of see what blue, aqua? Okay, sorry. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to be consistent. Aluminum.
One of those drop out, huh?
Nickel?
oh,
Consistency is the colors of the rainbow.
ton,
No rainbow!
focus.
I'll shoot it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yes, we're retiring. We'll give Soar on ḳu.éexʼ the night off. I saw it was wigging out. Okay. So now we've got these parts, right? And then we've got, so all we're worried about right now is the prefix. So now we see here's you, here's I. So what we want to do is change this, right? And what's the we for we do it? To. Okay. Oops. To. So now, how that gonna go? So the rules of contraction, which we will go over it. Like last year in Advanced Lingít, we did this slideshow called Basics, I think it's called Prefix Contraction Basics, right? Like the elements of it. So here you go, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 things in a prefix. 3 is the magic number. Once you get to 3, things will start contracting. So as these go together, when you have like cannot contract, t cannot contract, s will not contract because it's protected by t. So that means what's going to happen is this is going to go away. And the vowel, there are 2 things that are going to go away here. And those will drop. The way that Tlingit contracts, it says, let's get some of these vowels out of here. Tlingit is always ready to throw out the vowels, right? It's like Hawaiian, they're like vowels, vowels. And Tlingit's like, forget those vowels. It's like a leaf in the fall. It's like, get it out of there, right? So if you cut that, so let's watch these steps. So if that goes away, that goes away, right? As far as meaning goes, it's still there, right? When you pull the letter A out of qa, what do you think you get? Not qa.
Okay.
It's a really good, an underlying K is a really good guess based on the rules of how suffixes are, and you go from an underlying K to an underlying G when you put a vowel on the other side. Totally logical. However, this thing has its own little thing, but it does it all the time. It does it all the time. It absolutely is. Okay. So let's copy this one over one more time. Oops, where'd you go? So now that's gone. This becomes an underline X. Now we can see that, right? That is going to be ʻéex'tusa. Suye ʻéex'tusatin. Okay? So there is contraction, but it's not saying everything except for 3 things. It just says something's going to have to go. And this one is quite likely to go. Okay.
I got a quick question. ʻáqtu, it seems like it always means we will.
Yes, it always does.
When you want to say we will, is it always ʻáqtu?
Yes.
All right.
We are always going to ʻáqtu. Yep. The only difference is sometimes it's going to be ʻáqtu and sometimes it's going to be ʻáqtu. We'll get to that. I don't want to get there yet. Okay. So when we look at this, so this one, hold on. So if we just want to sort of see how this stuff is working, right? So we say, okay, so these things are contracting. Tlingit likes to contract, right? It just likes to. So what happens here when you have, again, this can't. This one's going to go through actually a few different steps. So when you have these ones, there is a pretty common step that gets taken. And a lot of it depends on whether or not there's a vowel in front. If there's a vowel in front of ga, qa, then this is what it will do. You'll get rid of that. And these two things are going to combine. When qa meets kha, you get, what do you think you get? And just those two things together.
Underline K.
That is correct. Qa and kha gives you qa, right? And we know this because if there's something there, there's some delicious piece of food, and you say you can't have it. I might say, kha, let me eat it. Aden kagut, let me go there. Okay? So now, the way this is going to work is these ones are going to do a little bit of, this is the sort of the gymnastics that these ones will do. And they'll do it all the time. So what will happen is this one, when you take the vowel away. So when you took the vowel away from qa, you get but when you take the vowel away from ga, what do you think you get? It's just gonna be one. You will get kakwa here, but when you take the vowel from ga, you get a K. And it's very, I know it's a lot, right? Because it's like, what happens when you take this vowel? It's like, oh, it becomes something different. This one actually becomes what we expect it to be. The G, the K to the G is like, right? Because you say kuk, kuku, kuku. So it follows that kind of rule. So then here you got a K, U, underline K. What happens to this U is it jumps over. It just does it every time. It does it every time. So that's why you get kakwa. Okay? The only instance where it won't. Okay? So if we let me know. Well, don't let me know if I'm going too far. We're just going to go. So if this is 0 and this is kha, right? So what am I saying here? How would you folks translate this one?
I will eat.
Oh, whoops, I just got to put that up there. There. So now this has to be a 0. So now what is it? It is I will eat. We need one more word.
It.
It, right? And so how would this one, so this one, it's going to go like this, right? So we're going to copy and paste this. It's going to do a little bit of a different thing, right? So because this is 0, there's no vowel in front of ga, ka. Now this will become kuka, 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 right? So this just says, okay, you become a K, sounds great. Now you just put those things together. Oops, and this is a 0, sorry. So that's why sometimes you'll say kuka and you'll see kukwa. The key is there a vowel before the thing, which includes aadé. So you could say adach kukagud, adekagud. Yay. But wait, there's more. Okay. So we're going to grab this little thing. This is our kind of pattern building thing. And I'll share these notes. Will go on our webpage tonight. Okay, so here's ʼu.éexʼ. We did that one, right? Where'd it go? Oh, it's right here. So I'm actually going to move it right here. So now we were looking for you will see us. So this should be ha. And that's actually going to be space plus space. And now we want this to be a single U. Here we go. So now, going over here, so we're going to actually delete this because it's going to be different. And for some of us, we've done some of this pattern building before. For some of us, we haven't. For all of us, like it's just kind of a wild thing until we do it 1,000 times. And we're like, oh yeah, that, ga, uka, yeah, those guys do this thing, that thing, that. Okay, so here we have ha in front, okay? So that is going to affect it because it ends with a vowel. So the way that these ones like to work is a similar thing, okay? So by similar, well, you're going to end up with two options. You're going to have gaggi and you're going to have kake, right? These are the two things that you usually get for the second person future. Adikkikud, you're going to go over there. Adakkikud. This is the same thing as kuka and kukwa. So vowel in front, gaki. No vowel before it. Or sorry, vowel in front, kaki. No vowel, gaki. So in this case, what happens is the deletes. And then this vowel goes away, but there's still, it just takes the other vowel to replace it. So you end up with gaki.
Point of order, when you do notes, and you're deleting things, can you just do a new line and then delete it?
Yes.
Goodness sheesh.
Okay. So maybe I should, okay, so let me restore it. And maybe I'll just do three, so here's, it's right, okay, what am I trying to do?
Are you doing it backwards?
This is why I brought this up, this is what the issues are, we're looking at these notes later.
What happened?
Where was I?
Funny.
Who am I? What am I doing? Okay,
What?
so you usually have this, sa, right? So that's usually what you're gonna get, right? So I could say gaqisaku. You're gonna know it. Gaqisaku. You are going to know it, right? But this ha is gonna say, well, let's contract one more thing then, because ha came to the party. So now what happens is that goes away. When we pull that vowel, so the big thing when you pull a vowel on any sort of prefix, the biggest question is, well, is there a vowel after it or is there a consonant? Because that's when the underlined GA will become the X, and that is also when this one, let me try to do my little, that becomes a K. That's why you get aadé, gande kaqisagut. You, wait, you're going to let the dog out. Gande kaqisagut, wait. Neish.
So because because ha was in front of it, you dropped the A and it became K
Yeah. So any vowel in front of it, and then the
and
verb.
vowel.
Might as well start contracting then. Do more,
Mhm.
right? And so it's just because Lingít, it just doesn't allow vowels to run into things without impacting them. Like Hawaiian is like, just blend them. This vowel becomes another vowel, no problem. But Lingít is like, no, then vowel's a big deal, even though we drop them all the time. So Coming back, when we say this one, ye woosh gach tus teen. So sa is what we have, that's a minus I S classifier. So if we take this one again, so some of you didn't even get to share yet. One thing you've learned in Lingít, but think about it. Okay. So how would I say we saw each other? Okay, so let's start with this.
Wdudlitóowu.
So we have wdudlitóowu, for it would be like we saw it or them, right? And so again, coming back to the parts that are in this one, what are the things that we have here? What's the first thing? If we pull it apart,
Perspective.
in wdudlitóowu, we see it. It's got to be the it. The it is the first thing.
Yeah.
Ah.
0. Right. And we'll just get used to this, right? Then I heard someone say it. What comes next?
Yeah.
What's right here? Yeah, the perfective marker. Then
Huh?
yeah, well. The last thing?
Classifier.
Yep. Okay.
Classifier.
Yeah, well. So going back, purple, red. Ooh, that's not red. Gray, blue. Okay. So here is that's what we have, right? If we put whoosh in front of it, so the addition of whoosh in front, which we'll make all of this black, and then whoosh will make green. Whoosh does something, right? You can't just put whoosh in front of a verb without causing some change to that verb. What is the change that's caused by whoosh?
Ye.
It's going to be right there.
Makes it plus D.
Yes. So you put a D in here and that goes to Z. So now that is our classifier. So, hold on. Okay, there, now it's perfect. Okay. So now, if we change that, then we should be able to predict what we have here. It'll be purple. So here we could say whoosh. Right. But then the classifier changes, right? Whoosh wdudlitóowu. We saw each other. So then coming back up here, the letter S is the minus I form of z. So if your classifier is z, in the future it will be s. It's going to be the snake's favorite classifier. So that is a very long answer to why I would say ye woosh gach tus teens. Or you could also say tsu ye woosh gach tus teen.
And then, so even though you say that, it just makes me think, why would Kenny say it differently than if not why would he say it differently?
Mhm.
know what I mean? I mean, it's like, this is what, he said, he always said this his whole life, forever. And so it's not like, well, you know.
And
I
there
tried to
are-
change it around, he said, and I said, how, do you say it? He said, elk, he said, every time, I always say it. So, I mean, it's just like, at one point, you push and pull, I mean, would you sit down with Kenny and say, look, Kenny, you've been saying this wrong the whole year.
Oh, of course not.
Right, I mean, so that's what I mean. So, I mean, I'm not, it's so,
Right.
if he says it and says, this is what I would say, then why would you take it and say, okay, that's great, but I'm gonna say it this way instead? Or I think it should be said this way instead, if he says, this is what you should say.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's a tough.
Yes, and so like other instances, you might have a speaker who will say, if you were to ask them how to say, they came back, right? Some speakers might say, ḳu'éexʼ, right? And this would be pretty common. I'm sure a lot of speakers would say, ḳu'éexʼ. But then the way that I was taught is that it should go ḳu'éexʼ. And so ḳu'éexʼ is another thing that should push that classifier to go plus D. But there's a number of things that we're finding where the language is sliding in a certain direction. And it's just moving in that direction. I think it doesn't have to do with right or wrong. But then as we sort of learn and use the language, those are really good questions. It's like, when do you just say it the way that this person said it? Because that's, you want to remember that person. And also you want to honor the knowledge that they have given you. But then sometimes someone will say something and you're like, oh, well, where did the yay, like I just know the yay should be there. But then also, it could be, you could end up with a thing where like we say it the way Kenny says, because he's the master speaker, right? And so the elder has the knowledge and the elder has the way to say it. And so, but we're going to run into these things. And for all of us, it's always something to sort of think about, because there are some things we want to say, okay, well, this is sliding in a direction. We want to sort of nudge it all back there. And a lot of this, I say, is just because of overall language loss. When people have fewer people to talk to, and the parts get a little bit more challenging to put together. And that we find this all the time. Like if you go through, if you really look at Elizabeth Nyman and her stories, you'll find all kinds of places where she corrects herself, right? She's like, I should have said it that way. And it just happens all the time. Like when you speak English, there's all kinds of things that you say too, where like, if you really listen to yourself, you're like, oh, I guess I should have said it, you know, have gotten instead of have got, or whatever the thing could be. So it's an interesting discussion, and I'm certainly not trying to correct Kenny Grant.
ḳu'éexʼ.
Mm-hmm. They came back.
And what was, I'm sorry, I missed it, but, wdudlitóowu?
We got a ḳu'éexʼ.
Okay.
Now, what was the other question?
ḳu'éexʼ, they came back.
That's, I'll be back.
wdudlitóowu.
We saw each other.
Okay, like we saw each other.
I saw you, you saw me.
And yeis. So, can you drop the t, because I've heard it without the t.
You can. That means we'll see each other. But the ts sounds nice, because that's why you say ţéixษ์. I'll see you again. Because it's sort of saying like, it's an affirmation, right? And so some of these things too, like there are times, like when I find raising children in Lingít, there are times you use a command, and there are times you use a future, second person, right? To say, like, you do this in English, right? Talking to kids, like, you will be there at 7:30. right? It's kind of a ultimatum, like, or death will be coming, right? And so these are some things like, but also, okay, here's the last thing of the day. Somebody tell me the command form. Can anybody tell me without looking it up? Be kind.
Getting in a tip. Am I close at all?
Tutlian,
Well, touch it on is the verb. Gedein in a te is be well.
well,
Because I know yay in it is you be that way. And saying is well or good.
Touch on is this is like they are kind. I think that's what I heard. Someone said touch on. Touch on. You are kind. This is a state verb, and as a state verb, it has a very predictable conjugation prefix. Most state verbs are what conjugation prefix?
And
They are ga, right? So for example, you know yak-a, right? And how would I say you are good? Yak-a.
You be good.
Igak-a, right? So you put the ga in there. Itlitzin. How would I say be strong? Like someone's trying to lift some weights or something. You just say, be strong. Huh? So what you're gonna end up with is ga tla sin. Which what do you think that gets you? There's three things. Something's gotta go. Yes.
Ikal.
And that's where you get iklatzin, right? Iklatzin. That's why you get it. There's no mystery. You have ga, and tla. That's gotta go. Knock that vowel out. You get a K, just like we were talking about. It is predictable. It follows these patterns. So, coming back to this, you should expect to, ga, tla, on. Which gets you?
it,
Tell you what, that's gotta go. And this is gonna create an interesting sounding phrase.
is it cl-
It took on.
It took on. If you raise a child in Tlingit and you tell them it took on, what do you think they're gonna say to you?
Oh, you've said this one before. Because it sounds like butt.
They say, what about my butt? And it does sound almost like you're saying, you have a nice butt. If you said it took on with an I classifier, you're saying you got a nice butt. That is one way you could say it. Like yaksa on is like a nice face. So I never said it again. What I said is you are going to be kind, which now I'm going to have I. And what am I going to have next? The thematic prefix. There's a thematic prefix in there, and that comes before the conjugation stuff. Future always gets the same three things in the conjugation spot. Ga, ga, has to have them. You're doing a future, you got to have those three every single time. Classifier's got to be tla. Then you got to have on. And we have lots of things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't go anywhere. T can't go anywhere. Th won't. These three. So what's going to happen? This vowel goes away but gets replaced by the U. Okay, so let's put it down here. I know we're out of time. Whoops. That vowel's got to go away. This vowel's got to go away. So, if we continue with our logic sort of model, we took the vowel away, but there's a vowel after it, so it's fine. We took the vowel away, there's a consonant after it, so it's got to change to underline X. on. There's one final thing we have to add to this before we can go home. Unlock the verb. It's your key to going home. All the pieces are there for the verb itself, but because it's g conjugation and a future, you have to, not yay.
Hey.
With it. on. Now you know how to say you are gonna on. You gonna be nice. You gonna be kind.
Wait. Okay, so I know you said it sounds like you have a nice butt, but what is on then? It's not you're going to be kind.
Be nice.
It's like you be nice.
Be nice. That's a command form for be nice.
Okay.
So this is the imperative.
It took on is. There's the imperative right there. It took on. But there are times, I think, when you're talking to people where you'll use a future second person, especially for kids, right? Because sometimes I'll say, you're going to be nice. You're going to go there. You're gonna clean your room, right? And those are sometimes it's like a hidden command. It's a cheat code for parents. Gonna chase you, hon. This is big stuff, right? And I know it's the beginning of the semester. We're jumping, but the idea here is to say, like, you could do all of this stuff, and we are going to learn how to do all of this stuff. Believe it or not, like, this stuff unlocks the language. Like, this is the cheat code for the language, right? Every language is basically human communication. There's a spiritual side of Lingít. There's a whole bunch of incredible, wonderful things. There's deep metaphorical concepts and everything. But in terms of like how the language functions, there's a set of rules, and we can learn all of them. We'll do perfectives and futures. Those are going to be our kind of focus areas, perfectives and futures. And so we're just kind of brainstorming, getting to know each other, visiting a bit, talking a lot, and then dipping into a few things. But then we're going to start going through things in a systematic way, but also answering questions that some folks have. And like, if this stuff seems overwhelming, don't worry. It's just because it's a new way to look at it. And you have, my perspective, my feeling, it's kind of have to do it this way for a while. Moving these things in the boxes and then seeing how they interact with each other. It's an artificial way to use the language. It is. But you do it enough times and you'll naturalize it. You will. Because then you'll be able to say all kinds of things. ʻátángí ʻátángí ātlin ātlta kadujél. You go ʻátángí, you go ʻátángí. You too yeis ʻátángí. Just woosht kadujél. We yakuske the kid. They hate they should go to ta. Yeah, well, cheese. Okay, so
No class Thursday.
well, we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays.
I meant.
So
I meant no
to answer
class.
your trick question, we are not meeting on Thursday. See you folks on Monday. For Monday, just think about those of you who didn't get a chance to go, share one thing that you've learned in Lingít and who you learned it from. And then I guess we should start with a conversation. So we did, we'll see. Maybe we'll start with that and we'll just see how it goes. I won't give you a homework assignment necessarily. Yewush gachtústín tléixʼ.
Cheese.
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 Cheese.